Let's close just a few minutes on this one. Thanks for your time, Gio. I just published an opinion piece Monday on the Ocean State Current. So oceanstatecurrent.com, it's right at the top. Dishonest lawfare. Now, we've talked a lot about this often on our show. I wrote a related opinion piece last year, last early summer, I believe. Rhode Island was the first state. This was under Raimondo. This was under former Attorney General Peter Kilmartin. Peter Kilmartin, was it? Yeah. Um, uh, and they were the first state to file a lawsuit against energy producers, as they call it, big oil, for climate-related damages. I believe it's all contrived climate disaster stuff. And that case has had a lot of problems that's been going on where, a lot of questions about it in the court. Should it be held in federal court? Should it be held in state court? It ended up being ruled upon in state court. But now, and we talked last year about potential judges' bias. The judge was citing a news article which was full of false narratives as facts in the case. And the judge received a lot of public criticism for that. But now we see that Kilmartin, Rhode Island's former attorney general, may have been deceitful in some of the assertions put forth in that case. So before we get to the specifics of that, just generally, Gio, isn't it the duty of lawyers or an attorney general file I mean, it's pretty much there's ethics and serious guidelines, but you got to put truthful stuff in your complaint. Talk about that just generally.
Oh yeah, I mean these are we uh, the last place you want to be is in front of a judge where you had a writing you submitted to that court that is not not only truthful in a black and white sense, but not intentionally misleading, right? So you can say something that may be technically true, but still weighs, and that's what I think happened in this case. It weighs in a direction that makes it look different than it was. Essentially, Kilmartin was saying that we are a fossil fuel producer, refiner, whatever.
Yeah,
Like
I'm going to get to that in just a second, but let me
yeah,
just put this up there first to make your point. So lawfare generally, okay, you can use the law to attack an opponent as long as you have a legitimate legal argument and you follow ethical and legal guidelines. But now we're into political lawfare, and they don't care about such ethics or guidelines or conventional wisdom or rules or whatever. They say whatever they want, and it seems as if Rhode Island former attorney was caught lying. If I'm going to use my words in the complaint, explain what happened there.
well, yeah. So the argument is that we get to sue all these fossil fuel companies because essentially it's an interstate commerce argument. We are participants in their bad deeds by giving us things like heating oil, that's there's look, I believe that they believe that these are evil corporations that are ruining the world, right? I think a judge should toss that out on its ear, and then that's probably why I'll never be a judge because I would have sent them packing in the first day. But it's based on such speculation and such bad science and everything else. But the way that all these states got together, they had to show that Rhode Island had a connection, right? There was a reason Rhode Island was part of this suit. And so the way they phrased it was implying that we are part of the fossil fuel industry here in Rhode Island, and we're not. We take delivery in a handful of ports around the state of these things that are processed and extracted elsewhere. And so for us, for Kilmartin and now Nerona to sign off on this, factual history that they based their suit on, I think is problematic. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so we know we just import, natural gas and related products here. We don't manufacture, extract, or otherwise refine any of that stuff in our state. Yet that's exactly what they stated. So if now there's a meeting coming up in mid-April, a meeting, I don't know if it's a conference or a full open hearing, but there's some kind of procedure with this lawsuit coming up in mid-April with the Judge is it William
Carnes.
Carnes
Carnes.
Carnes. Um, and I'm sure this is going to be brought to their attention that there was this great inaccuracy, if not deception, in your complaint. Could that put our state or what could be the consequence generally if a party or an attorney was found to have purposely just tried to deceive the court.
Yeah, if the court views it that way, then that's a an issue for contempt. I mean, there's a lot of discretion that a judge has to somehow punish the attorneys that signed off on that. So there's I don't know what Judge Carnes would do or if he would do anything, but certainly there's a risk to the state or at least to those particular attorneys who continue to press this issue, even though it seems pretty clear that we don't we are not Utah, right? We're not Texas, right? We come from a different, standing as a plaintiff in this case than one of the energy producing states. And I'm not even sure those states should be in it either. But I think there's a real question about whether Rhode Island, given our economy and our part in the fossil fuel industry, our limited part, really should be a plaintiff in this case.
Yeah. So I wrote, and I recommend, it's not going to happen, of course, but I wrote that current Attorney General Peter Nerona should withdraw from the case. It's not his case to begin with. It was his predecessor. It was Peter Kilmartin. But Nerona, as Attorney General, I mean, we've seen the new Trump administration's new Justice Department withdraw from cases that were filed under the prior Biden administration. So it wouldn't be anything unethical for Nerona to say, look, I'm not going to continue with the lawsuit my predecessor started, right? That would be legally fine, right?
It would be legally fine. And more importantly, if I'm Peter Nerona, I don't want to be dressed down by a judge who agrees with me on this, right? I'd rather take that issue off the table. Why does he need that political ding on his record if he's keeps in this suit and then gets told by a judge that this was problematic?
I mean, that could be a stain on his career if he gets dressed down. I mean, there's rumors. He said he's not going to run, but there's rumors now with McKee's weakness that, and even the former CBS executive, her issues that have come up, that he might want to be making a run for governor. He wouldn't want that as a stain on his resume, would he?
Absolutely not, and especially when it's something that's so attached to his professional life, right? Even if he doesn't run for governor, you want to go work for a firm, you want to go appear in front of judges as a retired attorney general, right? You don't want that on your record either. So, yeah, no, I think, and look, it doesn't mean the case goes away. I mean, unfortunately, I guess, but it doesn't mean the case goes away. Rhode Island is one of many states who are participating in this lawfare effort on the climate action front. So Rhode Island not being a part of it doesn't necessarily mean that the case never gets resolved.
I'm not going to find out. I don't know if we're just one of many plaintiffs in one case, or if each state has filed its own case, and therefore Rhode Island could just totally shut down the case by withdrawing. I think it's the latter. I think we have our own, and all those other states have their own lawsuits against, but in their own state courts. I think that's the way it is, but I'll have to look into that. But the bottom line is, Gio, political lawfare is not just, what Trump claims it is or others claim it is. It's now happening. I mean, at the federal level, it's now happening right here in Rhode Island by putting out dishonest information just to advance a political agenda and to attack your political enemies. In this case, not a person, but quote, big oil, or what we believe are just legitimate energy producers. Final thought on this case, Gio.
Well, look, I believe that we should be able to use the courts for for addressing all sorts of issues, but in this case, not only because of the way they phrased it and the questionable language, but just because we know the genesis of this, right? This is this is a way to accommodate a radical left political base that people like Peter Nerona depend on to win primaries and whatever else. And Kilmartin was no different. I think, it's good that we call these things out, right? I have no problem with somebody going to court and defending the rights of their clients. I have no problem with states taking on these big issues if it's a legitimate claim. I think when you are on such thin ice, factually, that sort of is telling as to the motivations and the political motivations behind it. If you're going to do these things, do them right. Don't try to wedge yourself into a set of facts that don't apply.
And save our state from further national embarrassment as well.